for slavery. They say they want to give something like £1 billion in slavery reparations. So, you know, I suppose that's up to them, isn't it? We're going to be talking about that. There's also, we're expecting the result of the Greater Manchester mayoral election any minute now. So I'll see you in a sec.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. There is a fresher feel to things as we go through this evening and overnight, with a few showers across northern parts, but they are going to be easing this weekend. That's because we're going to be heavily influenced by high pressure, which is currently to the southwest of the UK. So still some showery bursts for a little while yet, mainly across parts of Scotland, but a few for Northern Ireland, northern and western parts of England and Wales, and a couple in East Anglia. Otherwise, overnight, a fair amount of dry weather, some clear skies. And it is going to be relatively warm, especially towards the south, but not as warm as recent nights. A fair few degrees fresher for most places. Some places around the sheltered glens of Scotland could get into low single figures, perhaps. So temperatures tomorrow morning are not as high as they have been through some recent starts, but it is going to be largely sunny across the bulk of England and Wales. Just a few showers for some northern and western parts here. Mostly fine for Northern Ireland. Across Scotland, however, more showery rain to come. The showery rain here won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we've seen through today. And in fact, eastern parts will be starting the day largely dry. But those showery bursts will feed further eastwards through the morning and into the afternoon. They then start to clear away towards the east and northeast, so actually western areas where we've seen the heaviest, most frequent showers through recent days, well, there it will turn drier and sunnier by the middle of the afternoon. And a fair amount of sunshine for Northern Ireland, the bulk of England and Wales as well, with temperatures, well, similar to today, mid-20s in the south, high teens, low 20s further north. We start Sunday with a largely dry picture, a swathe of cloud across central areas, and most places stay dry through the bulk of the day, but across the Republic of Ireland there's likely to be some wetter weather making its way in. There's more changeable weather to come in the north in particular early next week, some heavy rain for parts of Scotland. Further south it stays drier and could turn warmer again.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family.
They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see. They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain. Good evening, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Yes, good to see so many of you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys tonight. Yes, 60,000 Moroccans invaded Spain and... They immediately started looting and breaking into local people's homes. So what's the plan, Andy?
But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Oh, good. Does he realise that we're being invaded too? I'd deport them just for the taste of music, to be honest with you. Absolutely appalling. But we have got an exclusive for you. We've gone undercover with a human trafficker who reveals just how easy it is to get into Britain. But also tonight, we will bring you the results of the Manchester mayoral race as voting has gone to a second round. It's now a face-off between Labour and Reform UK. Also...
Our national conversations about immigration continue to divide us.
Well, the Archbishop of Canterbury doubles down on calls for reparations, plus...
I sort of don't like the phrase changes in lifestyle. We're going to have better lives for people in the net zero world.
OK. Andy Burnham now admits that more drilling in the North Sea will lower your bills. And it looks like we might be giving puberty blockers to kids again. I regret to inform you about that, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. On our panel tonight, we are joined by broadcasting royalty, Christo Fufa. We've got the Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner. Mixed bag, mixed bag. We have got businessman and activist Adam Brooks. And former Conservative MP Jay Stevenson. So, get ready, Britain. Here we go. The Spanish invasion is a wake-up call for Burnham. Next.
Patrick, thank you. The top stories from Manchester: voting in the mayoral contest is going to a second round after no candidate got over 50% of the vote. Sian Astley of Reform UK and Labour's Bev Craig are going head-to-head in the second count to determine the winner. Voters in all 10 boroughs of the ceremonial county took to the polls on Thursday to decide who will replace now Prime Minister Andy Burnham, who stood down from the role following his election as an MP last month. Spain's Prime Minister has blamed trafficking gangs after about 60,000 migrants crossed into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta from Morocco. At least 57 people died during the surge, according to local media. Meanwhile, Italy says it's suspending the EU's border-free Schengen arrangements with Spain in response to the mass influx of migrants from Morocco. Italy does not have a land border with Spain, but the measure will impact people travelling by plane or boat between the two countries. Andy Burnham, meanwhile, says the government has offered support to Spain.
I mean, obviously that's a matter for the Spanish government first and foremost, but it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
The government has announced urgent plans to crack down on rogue operators in the funeral sector and ensure better protection for bereaved families after the sentencing of Robert Bush today. The ex-funeral boss was sentenced to 20 years in jail over his failure to bury and cremate dozens of people. He admitted 67 offences, including denying 30 people a decent and proper burial and fraud charges relating to presenting families with the ashes of strangers. The sentencing followed a week of hearings in which victims described him as a con man. And FIFA's chief operating officer, Kevin Lamore, said the governing body's staff were deceived by Gianni Infantino's lack of openness over his plans for the World Cup private investor scheme. Staff deserve better than contempt and intimidation, he said today in a statement. It's after a senior advisor to the FIFA president resigned and a third confederation opposed his plan to sell stakes in competitions to private investors. FIFA insists it will continue despite the severe backlash. UEFA's 55 member associations said they would not participate in any FIFA tournament until the plan was withdrawn. In a statement released this morning, FIFA said they respect the feedback and they reaffirmed their commitment to an open and democratic consultation. Those are the latest headlines. Over to Patrick.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much to everyone who's made the journey to be here. We are witnessing apocalyptic scenes in Spain. At least 60,000 illegal immigrants have stormed into Spain from Morocco in the last 24 hours, and they have immediately started attacking locals. One poor Spanish woman who lives in Ceuta said that she was absolutely terrified.
We are, as a neighbour of Ceuta, you can already see that security is conspicuous by its absence. We feel helpless. We feel totally abandoned. We are paralysed. This has paralysed an entire city.
Well, quite. I mean, the thing is, though, it's not a mystery as to why they've actually decided to storm there, is it? Because Spanish leader Pedro Sanchez has just announced an amnesty for illegal immigrants. So they legalised them. So these lads they're just as Spanish as Alejandro, Juan and Carlos. And get this, a far-left Spanish politician said that it wasn't enough to just give them all Spanish citizenship. No, they need to be allowed to vote as well.
And of course we want them to vote. Absolutely. We've managed to get them papers, regularisation now, and next we're going to get them citizenship or change the law so they can vote.
Brilliant. What could go wrong? Absolutely nothing. Well, I'm afraid you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. But what I want to know is what is Andy Burnham's plan for this? Because, look, those of these lads, frankly, could well be on their way to Britain. We know that they've started sending some back to Morocco, but by no means all of them. And I would be very surprised if Spain is the final destination for every single one of them. This has been quite a comical response from Burnham so far.
But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Yeah, what's he going to do? Send the Navy there? It'll be there in a month, and we'll just see how we go, I suppose. He's going to provide support for Spain, is he? Is he aware that we are being invaded as well? This week, the French have provided air, land and sea support to illegals breaking into Britain. They also opened fire near a democratically elected member of the shadow cabinet, which we seem to have forgotten all about. Who needs enemies with allies like that, eh? And this is a big warning for Andy Burnham. He said that he's now considering letting asylum seekers work before they've even been processed. So, a bit like this guy, presumably, the Sudanese illegal migrant who went into a school with a knife, a hammer, a hatchet and half a litre of petrol. Yeah, I mean, give that man a job. He had a knife with him. What would he have been, a surgeon? The hammer, I suppose, makes him an engineer, does it? I mean, the progressives in Spain thought they were doing the good, virtuous, decent thing, offering sanctuary to all of these poor young men. And now these poor young men have started breaking into locals' houses, demanding to squat in there for a bit. Yeah, wouldn't have liked to have owned that property. So what are you going to do, Andy? Because Gibraltar, which is very much British, is just about 14 miles away from the coast of Morocco. So actually, they don't have to get all the way across continental Europe to break into Britain, do they? And tonight, I can exclusively reveal that these human traffickers are having an absolute field day in France at the moment. We contacted a known people smuggler who is advertising on TikTok. You just see Angela Rayner behind the camera, can't you? Just absolutely having it. But anyway, we got his WhatsApp number and we've been messaging him. This, by the way, is his profile picture. And it just appears to be a man who looks a little bit like an ISIS fighter with the words "Traveller of Allah" written on it. So he's obviously lovely, isn't he? Very nice guy. This is what he said to us. We got the messages. He said that the French police can't do anything to stop these boats. They're powerless. He said, your police have no solution. They're in the middle of nowhere. And then he just quoted me €1,300 for a small boat crossing. So I think I'll keep my money in my pocket, actually, for now. But we are seeing what's happening in Spain, and we're seeing this happening in France right now.
Our order is to let them go like that.
Your order is to let them go?
We just have to say to them, don't do that, it's dangerous.
Yeah, so what I want to know is what's the plan, Andy? Because the illegals have managed to outfox Shabana Mahmood and they're not stopping, and hundreds of thousands more are on the way. So let's get the views of our panel this evening. We'll open it up to the audience if anyone wants to have a go as well. Adam, I'll start with you there. Yeah. What is Andy Burnham going to do about what we're seeing in Spain, but also what we've been seeing in the Channel this week?
He's going to do absolutely nothing, because our political class, whether it be Conservative or Labour, has no will to stop this invasion. And let's be true, and let's be honest now. I think the population of this country has realised it is an invasion. They will not do anything, because... The reason is we are tied by our courts, OK? So when we try to deport these people, it's either the ECHR or it's our lefty woke judges that will not let us even deport a paedophile, a rapist or a terrorist. They stop us doing that. So what sort of country is sovereign in that? I've watched this coverage for the last 2 days and it horrifies me. I have 2 daughters and I just wonder what sort of future in Britain do we have? Because we are letting... If you look at those 60,000 men, they were looting. They were setting fires to cars. They were criminals, savages. We are letting the same people into this country, and the left just seem to clap like demented seals. They are placed in hotels, in barracks and HMOs near all of our families, and no one is doing anything. It's a shocker.
But Barry, I'll bring you in here. So, at the moment, there's been a few comments from Andy Burnham this week, eventually, on the small boats crisis. One of them was that, OK, overall numbers are down. Been a bad week, hasn't it? And of course, we've got the Spanish issue as well. I think it's fair to say we've seen new routes opening up now. We reported on it earlier in the week. At the moment, Shabana Mahmood is being outfoxed, and the French police haven't covered themselves in glory, saying to Chris Philp that their orders are to not stop the boats now. So what is Burnham going to do?
Well, look, the first thing to say is that is it Quetta or Ceuta? Ceuta. That is still in North Africa. I mean, it's a Spanish city, but it's there in North Africa. So the idea that these people are just waiting to invade Britain, I think, is a bit far-fetched. And, of course, they've suspended the Schengen rules to make it impossible for those people then to use the free movement of people that the EU allows. Now, Adam, you said absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what's going to happen. Well, let's look at what has actually happened. Net migration now is down by 82%. The asylum backlog has been cut by 50%.
We've removed
70... Sorry, the asylum backlog bit is not true. We've got the highest asylum seeker backlog in recorded history at 130,000.
No, I'm sorry. That if you look at the processing time for the people, the backlog has come down by 50% from what it was when it was in there. We've removed 70,000 people who've no right to be in the UK. We've removed 10,000 foreign national offenders, and we've prevented more than 45,000 crossings. Now, why was it, if all that hasn't happened, if absolutely nothing has happened, why was it that Mark White, your own security correspondent on this channel, actually said that it looked as if the smash of the gangs was beginning to work, because what was happening is that the people traffickers were having to move further and further and further around the coast, making it more difficult for them to get into
Just a couple of things to say on this. It's important to get this thing on the backlog correct. So the total number of outstanding asylum cases in Britain is at 123,194, which is the highest on record. However, the first stage backlog has dropped significantly, now 58%. Yes, but we're not deporting them, Barry. So this is the point.
Well, we are. We've removed 70,000.
You've removed 4%.
And then they appeal.
Just 4% are channel migrants, Patrick. Let's just be honest. The ones that are dangerous, not Brazilian bar workers or Vietnamese nail technicians, they're removing only 4% of these savages that are coming across the channel. 4%.
Well, let's just get down to what, in terms of what we've seen in Spain. We saw them have an asylum seeker illegal migrant amnesty, and the only noise we've really heard from Burnham, apart from saying he's just going to kind of carry on what Shabana Mahmood is doing, was to suggest that he might allow these illegal migrants to work before they'd even been processed. And that is going to be enticing people across the channel.
It's yet another pull factor. And Andy Burnham just does not want to talk about the channel. He doesn't want to talk about the fact Iran made us a legitimate target last week. Andy Burnham wants to present himself as a Hovis advert, all warm and northern and cuddly, and everyone's safe, and it's all going to be lovely.
Gravy.
I'm afraid...
Don't forget gravy.
Gravy with chips, all of that sort of stuff. And I'm afraid it just doesn't wash. He isn't going to do anything. He doesn't want to even talk about it. But it's another pull factor. If you let people come here illegally and work, of course they're going to want to come, because they're going to earn a decent amount of money. They can start... I mean, half of them are working as Deliveroo drivers anyway. But it's just another lack of action.
But Jane,
I think
it was your Conservative government that opened up with 600,000 visas for 40,000 work places.
I absolutely agree. There were too many work visas,
so
but
the
I don't hear
backlog
Andy
was
Burnham
there,
talking about
and
that
you'd
either.
actually created it. At least we're doing something.
Barry, you let in 800,000 last year. Let's not remember that these net figures are because people have left.
Are emigrating.
You still let 800,000 people into this country.
All right. Well, Christy, I'll bring you in now. I mean, look, so far... this week, we've seen the French open fire near a shadow cabinet minister, provide helicopter support at night for a boat to literally light the way to the British Isles. We've also seen the French police saying they're not going to stop the boats, and we've also seen some charity workers as well, female charity workers, just waving them off and things. It's not been a particularly great week.
Did you forget as well the 170-person mega dinghy?
The mega dinghy.
Was that this week or last week? I forget. It sort of all molds into one.
How is that possible? Yvette Cooper said no more over 82.
Yeah.
So how is this possible?
I don't know how that's possible, but I'll tell you something. Do you know, if you'd... In the last 24 hours, 24 hours ago, when people were calling that an invasion, it was just slightly not sitting well with me hearing that word. Because I just think it's a bit of a provocative word.
Good, that's why it is.
But that is an invasion.
Yeah.
That is an invasion. That is not just a few people coming across. That's an invasion. And actually, the number of people that are coming across there in a very, very quick influx, what's the difference between the number of people that come here over a longer amount of time? It's still a massive amount of people. And I think that there are a couple of issues with this. There's more than a couple of issues with it. But firstly, it shows the Spanish Supreme Court ruling. I don't know if you're aware, but there was a Supreme Court ruling in Spain that meant that that someone challenged the Spanish Supreme Court, and they found that if you come over a land border, an actual border infrastructure, you can be turned around and sent back to Morocco. Because someone who'd come over via the water challenged that, they said, well, you didn't come over via border infrastructure. They allowed that person to stay.
And you can paddle round
the edge. And you can paddle round, and that's how they were allowed in. Now, if Morocco are sending people, that is an invasion. There's also reports that Morocco are actually sending people to go. And I think it's frightening. You know, I look at that and I'm frightened by that. Those are scenes of absolute chaos, carnage, and they're scary.
Morocco does dispute the ownership of the territory, so I wonder if it is sort of planned.
And they have done it before. When they were annoyed about Spain's deal with Algeria previously, they allowed 8,000. Well, they sort of sent 8,000 across. So this is over and above people just crossing a body of water. This is almost
the majority of the people who went over, because this is a tiny area, they've actually gone back.
Still 30,000 there, Barry. That's still an invasion, mate.
Well, they may be at the moment. I think you'll find that actually a lot more will end up.
But when you have government-backed people going into another territory,
totally wrong.
That is an invasion.
I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form. It's totally wrong.
All right, well look, what we're going to do is going to lead the next hour with this as well, and I have got quite a lot more footage for you of Moroccan military personnel and police literally guiding these people to the Spanish enclave, which is just absolutely bonkers. So we'll talk about that and whether or not it is actually or should be described as an invasion. But we've been to the Home Office, and this was specifically about the human trafficker that we're in contact with, which, by the way, we have actually reported to them. We've said, this is his TikTok profile, here's his WhatsApp number. So, you know, fingers crossed, although in reality they'll probably do absolutely nothing about it. The Home Office spokesperson said, this government has been clear. Border security is national security. Since coming into office, we've prevented over 45,000 crossings and removed nearly 70,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals. We've criminalised the online promotion of unlawful immigration services and are working with major social media companies alongside the National Crime Agency to remove online adverts promoting dangerous small boat crossings. We'll probably check in with that guy in a week's time and see whether or not he's still got a profile, which I imagine he absolutely will. But it's time now for the Great British Giveaway.
Is it a Spanish town?
It's a whole Spanish town. We're giving you a whole Spanish, just near Morocco, lovely weather. No, it's 60 grand in tax-free cash and a gold bar, which in a way is what they're expecting as well, isn't it? So here you go.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade, or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Now, next, the Archbishop of Canterbury has doubled down on plans to pay £100 million in slavery reparations to African countries. So, will other institutions now follow her lead? This is Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
All right, welcome back. Just in the last few minutes, by the way, I should tell you that it's emerged that Western intelligence now believes that the Moroccan government facilitated these migrant crossings, so we'll talk about that at 10 p.m. But closer to home, the Archbishop of Canterbury has doubled down on controversial proposals to pay £100 million in slavery reparations to African countries, vowing to repent for the church's colonial past. Dame Sarah Mullally made the comments on a visit to a slave castle in Ghana. She said that touring the place made her reflect on the many crimes committed, spurring her on to secure support for those communities that feel the legacy of the slave trade. So, is she doing the right thing in repenting for the church's past, or could that money be better spent? Christo, your views?
I think this is an absolutely dreadful idea, because I think it's... Look, if the church wanted to do it off its own back, in principle, you'd think, well, OK, it's kind of your money. But the Church of England is obviously tied very closely to the royal family. King Charles is the head of the Church of England. So there is that connotation that there is accountability being acceded to, alluded to by the king. So I think that's a really bad idea, firstly. Secondly, where does it end? I mean, £100 million is a lot of money, and people are going to be able to apply for grants for that money. Well, I think a lot of people would look at £100 million that the church might have in order to donate for this sort of thing and think, well, hang on, there are all sorts of problems and people in poverty here in the United Kingdom that could do with that £100 million. That they are hoping to up to £1 billion. But thirdly as well, at what point do we draw a line under this stuff? My ancestors, your ancestors,
yes,
were probably slaves in the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we have Greek ancestors.
Well, the Irish ones didn't fare that much better either, to be fair.
No, they probably didn't do that well either.
Yeah.
You know, and
they were definitely a bit hungry for a while, famously.
And but neither of us have gone hungry since.
No.
But do you see what I mean? Now, I could say that there is a lot of controversy about whether the Germans paid enough reparations to the Greeks after the horrific Second World War. At what point do we keep going back in history and just replaying this stuff, or do we start trying to solve the problems that we have today? Because my biggest fear is that the poorest people alive today end up paying for other people, who none of whom were alive when any of this happened.
Yeah, there's also the risk as well that of the reality, I should say, that various different Church of England priests in recent years have complained massively about a lack of funding for their parishes as well. So apparently they actually only wanted to give 1% of the Church Commissioner's funds directly to parishes, but they have got £100 million to give to some people in Ghana.
It is absolutely crazy at a time when our churches, which if you go on holiday to villages or, you know, around the country, the church is the centre of that community. It's often beautiful and it's crumbling, and to raise money to mend the roof, to deal with the rot, people are having a really tough time, and those churches are disappearing and closing. We need to preserve that. And the Church of England, I think this is crazy. We have enough people in the United Kingdom who were descended from Windrush, say. They could have a legitimate claim. I mean, I'm half Irish. I could make an argument for Irish people. But I'd rather see £100 million, if they really want to virtue signal, spend it in communities where there are, you know, a reasonable proportion of Windrush generation people, and do community projects, not just for that community, but for a city around them. And then it's the kind of, you know, you've done something positive, but nobody would complain as much. But it's awful.
We'll go to the audience then, we'll go to Barry. Sir, what would you like to say on the front row there?
Is it any wonder that the Church of England is losing so much of its congregation when we've got all this sorts of nonsense actually being discussed? I think we need to start looking at the facts that the British were the first people to actually stop slavery, and a great cost to our country, both in economic and in human cost. We spent decades anti-slavery, and we changed the world for the good. I just wonder whether we actually need to have reparations coming to us for all the good that we've done.
Or from the... Yeah, well, or from the Vikings as well. I mean, I said it wasn't reparations to them. But yeah,
got reparations for everyone. You want the Ottomans, you want
the Romans.
The Irish, you want the Romans.
If this is the rule, then I will have a bit of cash then. Yes, thank you very much. But Barry, go on. Your views on this to that gentleman's point.
I think the gentleman's right to say that, you know, we all accept that slavery was wrong. What does repentance mean? I mean, within the Church of England, before you go to take communion, you're told if you've wronged somebody, leave your gift at the altar, go make up with that person, and then come back to God. And that's what we do is symbolically when we share the peace in the Church of England. The difficulty, I think, with the approach that the Archbishop's adopting is that it wasn't the current generation that committed the wrong, and it's clear that the people that you're making the reparations to are not the same as those who were wronged in the first place. Now, it's undeniable that much of the profits that the church made came from the slave trade. They did. And our country was made much wealthier through that slave trade. But perhaps I would say that if they want to show repentance for what happened, what they should do is maybe use some of those funds to address issues of modern slavery today, issues where there are things that are clearly wrong in the world today, and say, look, we can't make up for what our ancestors did to somebody else's ancestors, but what we can do is use the funds that the church has gained through that horrible trade to actually try and make things better for people now.
Shall I tell you why that won't happen? I've got it written down here. Slavery is still going on in the Middle East, in Africa, and many countries in that region. The reason the church won't want to deal with that, because it's not white people doing it. And that is the whole thing. This reparations issue is to do with white people, and that's how they see it. Why should my 3 kids have to pay in their future for things that happened 200 or 300 years ago? You're right, when does it stop? And look, how about, first and foremost, the church start repenting for all those young boys that were abused by people in high positions within the church. Maybe they should start repenting and looking at themselves before doing all this virtue signalling against white people and this reparations nonsense. We have people like Lenny Henry and Labour MPs pushing for reparations that this country could never, ever afford. For me, this is a mental illness.
I mean, look, it's obviously we'll wait and see what they have to say about it. But I mean, you know, Dame Mullally seems to be banging in favour of 100 million quid's worth of the church's funds going to random parts of Africa. So, brilliant stuff. It's also worth noting that there's no saying that the people who are currently living in those African countries are the descendants of the people who might have been slaves. You know,
doesn't make sense. And the ones who benefited, because there were people selling those people in Africa. So there are equally...
Yes, so should we take funds off those people?
Exactly.
I mean, if you were in Africa and you benefited by selling slaves, should we then... no one would contemplate that.
I want to move on, because we are expecting any minute now the result of the Greater Manchester mayoral race. Oh, yes. So Andy Burnham's net approval ratings have dipped slightly since taking office, but then if you look at some opinion polls, he's slightly up. It's more of a personal thing. The more people actually see of him, the less they actually like him, which is, I know the feeling, actually. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about that, potential tax rise. We're just going to be reviewing, really, you know, Andy Burnham's time so far, and hopefully revealing the result of the mayoral election as well. That's next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. An extensive heatwave continues for much of Central Europe throughout this weekend. High pressure dominating. It's turning a little bit cooler for western areas of Spain, parts of Portugal, as well as western France. But as we head further east, the temperatures do climb across parts of Italy and towards the Mediterranean into the high 30s. You can see 40 degrees across parts of Greece. Wildfires here as well. But plenty of sunshine and hot weather to come into next week as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. There is a fresher feel to things as we go through this evening and overnight, with a few showers across northern parts, but they are going to be easing this weekend. That's because we're going to be heavily influenced by high pressure, which is currently to the southwest of the UK. So still some showery bursts for a little while yet, mainly across parts of Scotland, but a few for Northern Ireland, northern and western parts of England and Wales, and a couple in East Anglia. Otherwise, overnight, a fair amount of dry weather, some clear skies. And it is going to be relatively warm, especially towards the south, but not as warm as recent nights. A fair few degrees fresher for most places. Some places around the sheltered glens of Scotland could get into low single figures, perhaps. So temperatures tomorrow morning are not as high as they have been through some recent starts, but it is going to be largely sunny across the bulk of England and Wales. Just a few showers for some northern and western parts here. Mostly fine for Northern Ireland. Across Scotland, however, more showery rain to come. The showery rain here won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we've seen through today. And in fact, eastern parts will be starting the day largely dry. But those showery bursts will feed further eastwards through the morning and into the afternoon. They then start to clear away towards the east and northeast, so actually western areas where we've seen the heaviest, most frequent showers through recent days, well, there it will turn drier and sunnier by the middle of the afternoon. And a fair amount of sunshine for Northern Ireland, the bulk of England and Wales as well, with temperatures, well, similar to today, mid-20s in the south, high teens, low 20s further north. We start Sunday with a largely dry picture, a swathe of cloud across central areas, and most places stay dry through the bulk of the day, but across the Republic of Ireland there's likely to be some wetter weather making its way in. There's more changeable weather to come in the north in particular early next week, some heavy rain for parts of Scotland. Further south it stays drier and could turn warmer again.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Thank you very much, everybody. Before we crack on, I do need to remind you all that on the 6th of August, which is next week, you can join me in Essex to celebrate Britain. I'm going to be reporting live throughout the day. We've got different presenters dotted around the country as well. We're meeting viewers, hearing your stories. What? What?
No, nothing. If you just wanted to mention that someone else might be there.
Are you there?
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm there. Oh my God, I can't believe you asked. Yes, I am going to be there.
I'm there over the evening.
You're there as well.
Yeah.
Adam's there too.
Right, good. Well, hopefully some viewers are as well. So you can get tickets now by scanning that QR code or go to gbnews.com/celebrate. But you're going to have to be quick because ticket applications close this Sunday. So anyway, now new Prime Minister Andy Burnham has blitzed policy announcements, kind of, in his second week. So on Wednesday, he said that he will use whatever political capital he has to fix the social care system in England, start a conversation with the public about how to pay for it. I imagine that might be quite a short conversation, to be fair. Leading economists warned the Prime Minister this week that he must break the Labour manifesto pledges on taxes to plug this 24 billion quid hole in his spending plans. Now, based on an average of multiple pollsters in the Times newspaper, Burnham's personal net approval rating has dipped slightly since taking office, although he is still ahead of Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage. And I should say to you as well, we are also awaiting the result of that Greater Manchester mayoral election. So, how would you rate Andy Burnham's first couple of weeks in office? I think there is someone in the audience who wants to make a point on this. Am I right in saying that? Yes? Hello? I'll go straight to you, if that's all right. You are, of course, the public. So how do you feel Andy Burnham's done so far?
Well, I was never on the Get Starmer out wagon because I knew what was coming next would be much, much worse. And that's basically happening. I don't care about saving 45 quid for the year, thank you very much. I'm worried about a 10% death tax on people that might just have a small bungalow and then they have to basically sell the house just to be able to pay it off after their parents have died. It's absolutely horrendous what's happening here. As a single person that's trying to survive in London, it's actually getting harder and harder for me just to live. Like, I'm not even on a low-paid salary. Like, I'm on a middle-class salary, and this is what's happening. It's hitting the middle people. Labour, I'm sorry, Barry, but Labour are known as the welfare party, and it's us lot that are actually going to suffer. And it's not fair. I'm actually beyond angry now. I'm actually just depressed about it because I just don't know how to get ahead because of these. It's utterly
Many
depressing.
Are. Oh, many are.
You know, it's like, look, got some clear points for you there.
On the care, I think it's actually really important and actually quite brave of Andy Burnham to come and say, let's talk about the care system, because we all know it's broken. And you said, look, people are suffering. They are suffering, and we're all paying for it at the moment because it is a broken system. And local authorities don't know what to do. We all know that, you know, carers are turning up for 15-minute sessions and then going off again, and they're only getting paid for that 15 minutes that they're actually there, and they've got the travel times going on. Those people are getting ripped off. So I agree with you that social care is a huge issue. I think it's absolutely right that he said he's going to take it on. But I mean, if you think, I mean, even Adam, I'm sure, will have to accept that, you know, when he's talking about adjusting business rates so that, so that the big warehouses, the Amazon warehouses might pay more, but pubs like Adam's will actually end up paying up
20% off when my rates have gone up 50% this year. It's an embarrassment. It really is quite insulting.
You know very well, and actually it was last year, wasn't it, that the way they went up was because they'd gone down. They'd been artificially...
And you removed the relief. Let's be honest now. Labour removed the relief, ours went up, and now you're giving us 20%, and you expect me to jump up and celebrate. Wow, thank you, Andy.
No, Adam, come on.
Thank you.
Let's actually be fair for once.
I am fair. I'm telling the truth. I pay it.
If you have been given a relief because of COVID, and you're no longer in that situation, the relief obviously cuts out. You go back to normal, right? You go back to normal, right? Now that was what it was. You actually got a rebate on that, but now what he's talking about is a further adjustment in business rates that will actually help late night businesses.
It won't help.
Well,
it's going to save me £6 a day. That's 1 pint roughly. How is that going to save
£6 a day?
How is that going to save?
That's what your business rates are.
No. Of course, that's not my business rate.
But if that's 20% of your business rates,
how is it going to save
if that's
any
20% of your business rates, then that
now add that up over 365 days a year. The remaining 80%, Barry. It's a large number that I pay and that pubs do pay. Let's be honest here. The backbenchers of Labour run this country. They will not allow Andy Burnham or any Prime Minister under Labour to cut the welfare bill at all. It's impossible. So we have people claiming benefits for the most stupid things, acne, or really sort of a little bit of stress, and they're given hundreds of pounds a month. Our taxes are at like near 90-year highs. We've got 2 million foreign benefit claimants in this country, foreign born. We can save billions by stopping that. We need to start putting Brits first, and Andy Burnham and the Labour Party won't do that.
We're going to have to be very... Okay. We're going to have to be very quick here. I've got to think council tax intake could soar 43% by 2030. I'm not sure the public is fully consent to that.
Let's be honest. All our taxes are going to rocket. I think on social care, just two very quick things. It is very bizarre Andy Burnham, who is all in favour of devolution, won't devolve social care properly and just give the funding so it can act differently. And the second point is, as soon as I get to the point where I'm thinking, oh, I might be decrepit in another 12 months, I probably now would go on a cruise and spend the lot and come back, because there is no incentive left to do well, keep your money. It's all going to go to the tax man. You may as well go on cruise around the world for a few years, live it up, and you get the state will provide for you. So
yet that was the Conservative policy under Theresa May that you supported.
Can I just say,
you can do it in 20
I'm going to do
seconds.
it really, really quickly. We've now got an age of spin. He's giving away £45 in bills, but taking it back with the dementia tax. He's fixing the bus fares, which they got rid of the cap on. So we've just got better spin now rather than we have actual better policies.
We'll have to see what happens, because he obviously just employed a load of TikTok influencers to go and work at number 10 North, and so they're going to be on a social media barrage, aren't they? Which I'm wondering, we're going to find out, I think, whether or not they do actually really believe the public are thick, because if this is seriously what's going to happen. I think if he calls an early election, it's interesting to say in the national polls, though, as it currently stands, he has taken Labour above Reform. So make of that what you will. Sadly, we've still not got a result in this Greater Manchester mayoral election, so we're going to have to move on. A puberty blockers trial has been given the green light after it failed to block the study in the High Court. So it looks like we are going to be dishing out puberty blockers to kids. Brilliant. What a country, eh? That's next.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Charlie, as most of the viewers know, I would be involved in agriculture. This isn't quite agriculture. It's quite close to it, the cousins of. A lot of things that go on in agriculture are on display here. Thousands of people coming to this site, Ragley Hall, just about 45 minutes out of Birmingham.
We are the modern ruralists, and here today we have the craft yard. We've got 9 different crafts, all demonstrating what they're up to. Here we have the wheelwrights, and they're bonding a wheel here. So this is an ancient craft that's been going for about. Barney Murray's a bit of a legend, quite frankly. He's the national champion, master dry stone waller, comes from North Wales, and he's a bit of a Thor lookalike. So he's quite popular.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, at 16 minutes past 8, the annual bike ride from Yorkshire to London is taking place today, aiming to honour the legacy of the Batley and Spen Labour MP Jo Cox, who was murdered by a far-right terrorist in June of 2016.
Well, the bike ride aims to champion a cause she was passionate about, as this year marks the 10th anniversary of her tragic death.
Kim, if we can just start with you, what is your sister's legacy?
Well, there's so much that we've got to be proud of that's been done in Jo's name. It's just been 10 years since she was murdered, and what has kept us going as a family has been the way that so many amazing people, including people like this amazing man, have done things in Jo's name to show what our country is really about. And you've got all these amazing people today from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, celebrating the things that we have in common, not agreeing on everything.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
It's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think I would at this rate, because I think the government tracks, when we say we're fighting for Britain, what are we actually fighting for? The concept of Britain, I don't think exists anymore. When I look at Britain, when I go outside, it doesn't seem to be very British. And I think the core demographic of the people who would normally fight, these white working class boys who, you know, have been fighting for Britain, who we expect just to sacrifice their life in a fight, you know, they've been demonised for decades and decades by the government, by our education system, by the media. Economically, they've been disadvantaged. So why would we expect them to risk their lives when we've demonised them for so long and took them for granted for so long? And this concept of Britain fighting for the British government, you know, the British government has betrayed us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
puberty blockers trial has now been given the green light. I know I thought we were past this, but no, sadly not. Baroness Cass's review previously concluded that there was insufficient evidence on the outcome of the drug, recommending a properly designed clinical trial should be carried out to answer those questions. So basically, because we hadn't given enough kids puberty blockers, we couldn't 100% say how harmful they were. So we need to experiment on more kids just so we can prove it. Campaigners asked the court to intervene. They argued that regulators had acted unlawfully by approving this new experiment. But after a 2-day hearing, the High Court refused permission to proceed with a full judicial review, and enrolment into the study is expected to start immediately. So it's happening.
Brilliant.
Well, Jane, you said it's crazy.
It is absolute madness. It is using children as guinea pigs. They are far too young to make a decision that will affect potentially the rest of their lives. The medical evidence points to lifelong problems. There are certain areas of the spine that potentially will be damaged by taking puberty blockers. Fertility can be damaged. So you are talking, I've spoken to Christo before, aged 11, I was a proper tomboy. I was down ditches, up trees, playing with action men. If someone had said to me, I may very well have thought I was a little boy at that age. I'm clearly not a little boy. No. But thank God my mother was
Christo,
way too sensible.
I've never been confused with being a man.
No.
But you're right. I think there's gender non-conformity, and I think that people are going a bit hysterical over gender non-conformity, which loads of young people and teenagers have, and full gender dysphoria, which I think are very few.
But the medical effects of puberty blockers, they are dreadful.
Can I just say one quick thing? Labour think that at 15 you're too young to be on the internet. Yet they think at 11 you can be pumped full of drugs and have life-changing and irreversible damage by these puberty blockers, because that's what happens. It's irreversible. For me, this is sick, this is perverted, and anyone that supports it needs their hard drive checked.
OK, all right, well, Barry, look, you know, what's your view on
OK, look, in fairness, both parties supported Hilary Cass's report, and they agreed that a trial should be done. So it wasn't just Labour, but I take Adam's point. Personally, I actually agree very much with what Jane said, but your producers would like me to go through what I think the government...
But what is the government's like? Well, you know, you are as part of your responsibility, Barry, as a senior Labour.
OK, I'm not going to check your hard drive, Barry, OK?
It's enough about hard drives, all right.
The Ofcom position is this. The trial stipulates a number of important safeguards. First, parental consent and support. Second, they must have had a diagnosis of gender incongruence for at least 2 years. Third, they must have received psychosocial support through the NHS and have stable physical and mental health. And they and their parents must demonstrate sufficient understanding of the treatment and what it can do and what it can't. That's the government's position as I understand it. Yeah. I disagree with the trial, precisely because I don't think that a child aged 10 or 11 actually has the agency to take such a consequential decision.
And many parents want a trans kid. It's become some sort of trend. Look at Hollywood. Look at these actors. How many of their kids turn out trans?
Well, there is definitely something. There is definitely something to that. There does seem to be rather a lot of them who are...
Patrick, can I just say that gender dysphoria is a serious condition, and we shouldn't treat it lightly.
Look, Pathways have previously said that patient safety is the overriding concern as well, and it says that participant information has been strengthened, the minimum age requirement has been introduced, so they're very strong that they think this is absolutely fine. Got loads more coming your way. When we come back, big update for you on the invasion of Spain. Yes, I don't miss that.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. There is a fresher feel to things as we go through this evening and overnight, with a few showers across northern parts, but they are going to be easing this weekend. That's because we're going to be heavily influenced by high pressure, which is currently to the southwest of the UK. So still some showery bursts for a little while yet, mainly across parts of Scotland, but a few for Northern Ireland, northern and western parts of England and Wales, and a couple in East Anglia. Otherwise, overnight, a fair amount of dry weather, some clear skies. And it is going to be relatively warm, especially towards the south, but not as warm as recent nights. A fair few degrees fresher for most places. Some places around the sheltered glens of Scotland could get into low single figures, perhaps. So temperatures tomorrow morning are not as high as they have been through some recent starts, but it is going to be largely sunny across the bulk of England and Wales. Just a few showers for some northern and western parts here. Mostly fine for Northern Ireland. Across Scotland, however, more showery rain to come. The showery rain here won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we've seen through today. And in fact, eastern parts will be starting the day largely dry. But those showery bursts will feed further eastwards through the morning and into the afternoon. They then start to clear away towards the east and northeast, so actually western areas where we've seen the heaviest, most frequent showers through recent days, well, there it will turn drier and sunnier by the middle of the afternoon. And a fair amount of sunshine for Northern Ireland, the bulk of England and Wales as well, with temperatures, well, similar to today, mid-20s in the south, high teens, low 20s further north. We start Sunday with a largely dry picture, a swathe of cloud across central areas, and most places stay dry through the bulk of the day, but across the Republic of Ireland there's likely to be some wetter weather making its way in. There's more changeable weather to come in the north in particular early next week, some heavy rain for parts of Scotland. Further south it stays drier and could turn warmer again.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Yes, we'll come further back. Thank you very much, everybody. Yes, why not? There we are. All right, OK. Well, thank you very much for everyone who's made the journey. Some people have travelled exceptionally far tonight. I'll tell you where from in a second. But it's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys tonight. Well, 60,000 Moroccans invaded Spain and... The poor, desperate asylum seekers immediately started looting and breaking into locals' homes. But what is Andy's plan?
But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Foreign aid to Spain, anyone? Sounds like that's the way it's going, doesn't it? Yeah. Does he realise that we're being invaded as well? That's what we need, isn't it? More Eritrean DJs. But I'll bring you the look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages as well. The Daily Mail is leading with "Stop Invaders Reaching UK," apparently, so there you go. They're not mincing their words. And, oh, yes, right, I know I keep teasing this. I'm sorry, I do hope we get this at some point. The result of the Manchester mayoral race, which is long overdue now, but hopefully we do get it. Also...
I sort of don't like the phrase changes in lifestyle. We're going to have better lives for people in the net zero world.
Quite keen to see how Andy Burnham squares this one, because after telling us all for ages that actually even if we started drilling it wouldn't lower your energy bills, it turns out that now he's saying that if we do drill a bit more it could lower your bills. So interesting. And we've got a GB News exclusive for you as well. What you're looking at on your screen there is a raging jihadi, and he is up for parole. So we already got one bloke banned from release early this week. We'll see if we could do the same with this guy. It's just, for want of a better phrase, I'm on a bit of a crusade here, aren't I, to keep jihadis behind bars. Anyway, on our panel this evening, we've got businessman and activist Adam Brooks. We've got broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. We've got former Tory MP Jay Stevenson. And we've got Labour MP for Brent West, it's Barry Gardner. Oh, come on, it's got worse. Anyway, get ready, Britain, here we go. All right, well, welcome along, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Now, Spain is being invaded by Morocco, and they're doing pretty much nothing about it. 60,000 illegal immigrants, almost entirely fighting-age young men, have stormed into Spain in the last 24 hours. Yes, well, for context, this is actually where they are invading. So it's the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. The actual number of residents there is apparently 84,000. So when you think that 60,000 lads came in the last 24 hours, there's almost double the population, haven't they? And what have these peace-loving, gentle, vulnerable North African men decided to do there? Well, just a little bit of looting and criminal damage. And then they decided to do a bit more. yes, that was them just entering people's homes and asking if they could sleep there for the night, and I imagine that was a hard no. But anyway, and just, of course, the traditional, kind, vibrant, diverse way of saying hello to the local police by throwing rocks at them and attacking them. And I can tell you that apparently it's now not just Ceuta, because Spain has another small enclave in Morocco called Melilla. You have to excuse my pronunciation there. And they've started invading that as well, apparently. Nice. Well, in case you're wondering how exactly 60,000 Moroccans could just suddenly appear at the Spanish border, seemingly out of nowhere, take a look at this. Yes, that was the Moroccan police force there, giving them essentially a guided tour all the way through to that border, not doing anything to stop them. Now, there have been reports of some Moroccan forces beating crowds back now, but that took them a very long time, didn't it? And if this is state-sponsored, which it looks like, and I should just say as well that in the last hour or so there are reports emerging online from described as Western intelligence services to say that they have the intelligence, they claim, that actually this was a deliberate thing by the Moroccan government. So if that's true, at what point is this a state-sponsored invasion of another country? European leaders have called for Spain's temporary suspension from the bloc's Schengen-free travel zone because these, for some reason, other countries just don't want these sweet, polite young North Africans in their communities, and I can't think why. But here is the ridiculousness of the European Union exposed, OK? Apparently, the European Union, this was released earlier, could have taken up to 28 days to formally respond to Spain's appeal for help. 28 days to respond to the invasion of a member state. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's absolutely pathetic, but not quite as pathetic as this. Just look at this footage again. There we go, so that's the lads, isn't it? They're coming across, bit of an invasion, you might say. And now listen to convicted fraudster Louise Haigh, who's Andy Burnham's right-hand woman in Cabinet, refusing to call illegal immigration like this an invasion.
No, I wouldn't use language like that. It's obviously extremely concerning, and I understand your viewers' understandable anxieties about people crossing into this country illegally.
I wouldn't call things an invasion. You know, we can't use language like that as they storm into a variety of different countries and, of course, across the English Channel. But look, in my view, every single one of those lads that we saw on those videos there has to go back to Morocco ASAP. But we'll get the views of our panel on this. So, look, the latest line on this is that Western intelligence now believes that this was deliberately done by the Moroccan government and the Moroccan leadership. Adam, this is...
For me, that's an act of war. If another country did that to us, I'd expect us to fire rockets and fire gunfire at them. That's what I would do if I was Prime Minister. That's because I want to keep my people safe. I want to keep our women and our girls away from these culturally far different people that have terrible attitudes towards women, disproportionately attack women sexually. We've seen it in this country. And only in the last 2 days, we've seen 3 women die on dinghies crossing the channel. Now, women make up between 5 and 10% of crossings. Some months, it's like 2 or 3%. Yet it's always women that die on the crossings. And you know why? Because these savages throw them overboard, or they trample them, or they attack them. And that is the sort of people that are now in hotels, barracks and HMOs near your family. So, yes, I will not mince my words. It is an invasion. We have had enough as a country. If you speak to people in high streets, pubs or whatever, they're scared. I am petrified of a father of 2 daughters because they are allowing these monsters into our country, and they're not listening. And they'd rather demonise us as far right than deal with the problem.
OK, all right. Just on that, it is worth noting, because some people watching or listening to this now might go, oh, gosh, you know, where's the evidence that they do tend to throw women overboard and get them out? We actually had that on camera earlier this week. We actually showed you that on this show earlier this week of people. There was a boat full of blokes, and then in the end there was 3 women also who ended up in the water. So, you know, it does happen. And they were slapped there by the blokes that were on the boat.
And the other 3 women to have heart attacks in the same boat is something like 300 million to 1. We're being lied to by our authorities and our media.
I hope the 3 charity worker women waving off one of those boats are pleased when they see women dying in the crossing.
They've probably slept with some of them. We've got a massive problem with that. A lot of the charity workers, the Liberal women, sleep with the migrants. That's a fact too.
There was a story about that a little while ago, to be fair, there was, but I imagine that they've probably brought rules in place now where that kind of stuff is frowned upon. Anyway, so yes, look, Christo, this idea now that there is Western intelligence that Morocco was behind this. I mean, it is absolutely mental. Sorry, it is really mental if what we've seen over the course. It doesn't matter if, like, 48,000 of them have supposedly now gone back or something. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you got a country there essentially facilitating the invasion of another European nation. It's bonkers.
It's state-sponsored. Yeah. It's almost an act of terror. It is an invasion. You can't call it anything else. If a state is sanctioning it and facilitating them rushing into another country in those numbers, then you're absolutely right. In other circumstances, if there wasn't this cover of them being refugees in inverted commas, then it would be considered, as Adam said, an act of war. Also, if this was any other port of entry in any other country, if thousands of people stormed an airport and said, we demand to get on a plane and force their way through, again, that would be considered an act of terror. That would be considered an act of war. But in those circumstances, we seem to lose all rhyme and reason and say, well, actually, no, it's a different set of circumstances. So it must be so frightening if you live there and seeing all of those people storming in. Could you imagine living in that place and seeing all of those people and the way in which they're acting? And special thanks should go out to our Prime Minister, who in the last couple of hours put out a video, I don't even know if you've seen this.
Oh, good. What's this?
This is a balm.
Oh,
it's
God.
Whether things are a balm cake or whether...
or a roll.
Or a roll.
He's literally
what different people might call them. This is a balm. Oh, no, and other people call it a cob. Because he's literally social media obsessed, and he's talking about the differences that we have in the way we talk about things and how...
It's a bacon butty, isn't it, that? What do we...
Well, it's dry.
Well, it's got talking, hasn't it? You're
right. That is the real debate here, Pat.
Yeah.
You're right. That is, and it's all this style over substance nonsense we get from this man, rather than actually trying to solve problems. Because people will be watching that and will be scared.
Just in one of these slightly more comical pieces of housekeeping that I'm being ordered to do, I do now need to say that there is absolutely no evidence to suggest that the women from that very specific charity that we were talking about earlier have indeed been having sexual intercourse with the illegal migrants who have been coming across the channel.
Housekeeping on the balm.
No, not at all, mate. No, not at all. Yes, go on then, Jane. How should the European Union respond to the idea that Morocco appears to have been behind an invasion of a Spanish enclave?
Well, I think the people I was most frightened for today were the police in Ceuta, who are probably very few and having to deal with tens of thousands of people. But I think the European Union, you heard Giorgia Meloni, one of my absolute heroes, was first out the blocks going stop Schengen. Some of the Nordic countries were very close second. It clearly is extremely frightening. And as was the mass amnesty, which was madness in Spain, because only half of those people will remain in Spain. The rest will travel through the Schengen area, and some of them, I suspect, will be getting on a dinghy to come here. But if it is a state-organised thing, I did think it can't be coincidental that tens of thousands of people just arrive on the same day. And they looked absolutely joyful. I don't know if they're getting a free book token or an iPhone or something.
One guy carried his bike.
It was a triathlon.
Yeah, but it was water.
It was a triathlon because he had to run, swim and cycle. So, yeah, we've got a Moroccan triathlete who's now in Ceuta, apparently. It's important to say, so Spain had been quite clever with their wording, because if you take certain things at face value, they say, oh, you know, 48,000 of them have been deported. They say that they've left. They don't say, so we're assuming that they've gone back to Morocco, but I mean, okay, but they are also, it's important to say,
there isn't much else place to go.
Well, there is,
They
because there are ferries to the
Spain.
mainland. But yes, but there is a point to be made about the fact that they're saying that anyone that they think apparently who's under the age of 18, they are not deporting at the moment. So that, I imagine, will be a lot.
So no one's going to lie about their age, Patrick, are they? Like, they don't do that here either, do they? No.
They're with the same under 18-year-olds that are balding with grey hair and, you know, mobility problems.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there we go. OK, so, yeah, Barry, just on the allegation that the Moroccans appear to be behind this, I mean, video shared on social media is showing a number of Morocco's royal gendarmerie, impeccably dressed in their grey and red uniforms, standing by the side of the road as a dump truck gets rid of like dozens of these people. There's loads of these clips online, and they're waving them through and helping them to the border.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're doing that?
Look, you've already said, Patrick, that this is disputed territory between Morocco and Spain. It's a flashpoint, but what it does point to is that these people are not genuine asylum seekers coming there because they want to start living in Spain, and that indeed is why many of them will have already, and indeed have already, gone back to their homes in Morocco. So I do think you've got to look at it in that international context. What frightens me about this is that there are apparently 60,000 people who, at the beck and call of the Moroccan government or the Moroccan security services, are prepared to do this at a moment's notice. Now, that, I think, is seriously of concern. Yeah. Now, there will be, I have no doubt, very extensive conversations going on between Madrid and Rabat.
Yes. But what does that tell you, Barry? It tells you that they haven't really got any jobs there. And given the way that they've behaved when they got to Ceuta, and we've seen widespread looting, breaking into people's houses, etc., does that not strongly indicate that maybe we should be a little bit tighter on who we let into our country?
Well, look, if you say that you can simply lock up Britain and there will not be more and more people wanting to get here or to get to Europe or anything, I think you're looking at this from the wrong angle. Unless you begin to tackle this at source, unless you begin to understand why people are wanting to leave countries, whereas you say they don't have jobs or whatever.
Free houses. They want the free houses.
No.
Yes, they do. They tell us, Barry.
Yeah, sorry.
They tell us, Barry.
Adam, when these guys are crossing over that wall, that fence into Ceuta, they're not thinking,
no, I'm talking about the ones coming
I'll
here.
get a free... Yeah, but you've been saying that they're going to come on and coming to Britain. They're not... What's driving them is not the thought of some sort of flat in you know, Hackney. What's driving them is what they're leaving behind, and
what, Morocco?
Not our problem.
Sorry, hang on a minute. Christos just returned from a holiday in Morocco.
I was going to say, Adam, what Adam said about the Moroccan young men is not exactly going to go down well with the Moroccan tourist board.
I don't care.
Say, though, last week, I think the issue is... So last week I was in Morocco, you're quite right, on holiday, and some of the Moroccan people are absolutely lovely. And a lot of them, you know, they will be working in the souk, they're productive, they're industrious, they are entrepreneurial. They're the people staying behind. Yeah. They're not the ones that are coming. So actually, if we did want to have Moroccans that came here, it would probably be those sorts of Moroccans who are really great people.
I'm sorry, at what point
those
are people...
the ones coming.
Like, at what point... I find this absolutely insane. I'm sorry. We've had a really, really good snapshot here of the type of person that is breaking into Europe and is unquestionably also trying to get into Britain. They break in somewhere, they'll rob your house, they'll loot a shop, they'll attack locals, they'll attack police, and they'll kick right off. Well, we've seen it all now, and still people are saying, oh, they're leaving something awful behind. Half of them seem to have iPhones. One bloke had a new bike, he was coming across. They're just chances.
But I think, Barry, you're going for let's deal with the source. They're leaving poverty, they're leaving nasty areas. You can do that. You can say you want to work on that. You can also change the legislation to protect the people of this country from people who are coming in. We don't know who they are. You can detain them. You can remove incentives. You don't have to not do foreign aid, or you don't have to do whatever you want to do about the source is a separate thing completely. But the security of our country and the villages that you're piling 800 young men into, I'm afraid, is a separate thing.
There's a bloke in the audience, and we'll go to Barry. But there's a gentleman here, so what would you like to say about this?
Yeah, hello, Patrick. Hello, studio. I actually have a question as an EU resident. And who actually crossed the whole Europe recently, just a few weeks ago. Currently I'm exploring UK, and documented everything on YouTube. And I've seen like a lot. I've seen Poland, Germany, I crossed Netherlands, Belgium, France, and I came here, and I can say, like, in my opinion, Britain is doing like it better, and it handles this crisis much better. And my question is actually, what do you think is the biggest mistake EU makes by handling this crisis?
OK, all right, OK, interesting stuff. So what do we think the biggest mistake the EU makes in handling this crisis?
Well, I mean, Angela Merkel didn't help by just going, come on in, everybody. But I think what the root cause is, we have an asylum system that was designed for a European continent post-World War II, and then it was extended to be everyone on earth has those rights until the 51 Refugee Convention is completely ripped up and something new is thought of. We are going to see people moving. Now the information's in their pocket, people can see a better life, they know how to get there, and I'm afraid the EU and any other Western country has exactly the same problem.
Barry, I'll let you come back to everything that you heard before as well. Can I ask you, would you describe what we saw in Ceuta as an invasion?
Yeah, look, of course it was. And if, as you're saying, that this has been spurred on by the Moroccan government, it's, you know, in international law, this is a crime, right? So I think it's incredibly serious. And if you tell your people, as a government, go and jump over the border and cause chaos in somebody else's land, of course that's an appropriate word to use, invasion. But look, you see, what Jane just said, and in answer to the gentleman's question, the 1951 Convention was set up for a time when people couldn't, you know, get on an aircraft. It was set for a time when coming across in a small boat was not going to be, you know, the mode of transport. But what it depends on to renegotiate that convention and get agreement, doing it as one country saying, we're not going to have anything to do with it anymore, won't work. You've got to work with all the other countries to get a new consensus. And that means accepting that you're going to process people who are asylum seekers and refugees, you're going to process them outside of the UK, and you're then going to divvy up those people who you collectively determine are genuine between all of the member states that agree to that convention.
Or you can settle them near where they started.
Why can't we?
And you can develop those economies.
Well, you see, but that's really interesting that Jane's eventually come back to the point that I made earlier, which is that you can settle them close to where they started if you develop their economies.
Why is it on
and that's the whole point.
Sorry.
Because otherwise they ain't going to stay there.
Sorry, Barry, this is the bigotry of low expectations. Do you believe that Moroccans are incapable of developing their own country?
Clearly. No.
Well, hang on a minute. Why do we have to do it then?
And also, isn't there a difference between trading with somewhere and giving
Yes.
prosperity?
Look, let's just go back. The sort of people that are coming across that border and now are coming across on the dinghies. We've seen sexual assaults, rapes, terrorists, murderers and everything. I like to say to some of these lefties and these liberals, do you have a front door on your house? And when they look at me all mad and they say, why? I say, would you take that front door off and not have a front door? They go, oh, stop being stupid, stop being stupid. And then I say, why do you have a front door? And they say, to stop bad people coming into my house and hurting my family. And I say, exactly. That is what a border is. It is a front door to a country, and we must have borders. Without it, we're going to have all these crimes and all these criminals.
All right, OK. Well, look, points only on that. I do need to tell you, of course, about the Great British Giveaway before I tell you about what's coming up next. It's your chance to win loads of cash and a gold bar worth £5,000. Here's how you can be in it to win it. Yes. Yeah.
we're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our golden summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, all right. Well, when we come back, Andy Burnham has now admitted that oil drilling could ease the cost of living crisis. So it took us a while, but we got there in the end, didn't we? We'll talk about when we come back. What have we got?
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
welcome back. Welcome back. I am hearing that we might have some movement in Greater Manchester, which I'll be able to hopefully get you before the show ends, of potentially a result there in the Greater Manchester mayoral race. But before we get to that, Labour's net zero push has forced BP out of the North Sea. In a major moment for the UK energy industry, the oil and gas giant has decided to leave the North Sea due to a disastrous mix of energy prices, tax policies, etc. Let's just remind ourselves of former Energy Secretary and net zero zealot Ed Miliband towing the previous government line on oil and gas in the past.
Because new drilling in the North Sea will not take a penny off people's bills. The right lesson of this crisis, unless we have clean homegrown power that we drive for, renewables, nuclear, which we are doing, we're never going to get off this fossil fuel roller coaster.
Will not take a penny off your bills, yeah? Daily Mail's front page this morning. Burnham admits that oil drilling can ease the cost of living. So what's changed? What has happened there? I wonder. Christo, what do you think's gone on here then? Because he's accusing Ed Miliband of lying.
Well, I've learned a lot, actually, in the last 24 hours, that apparently having our own oil and gas will reduce our bills, as well as the Pope being Catholic and Diana being dead. Who knew any of those things? Absolutely ridiculous that this obviousness is now being given to us. And even in that sentence that Ed Miliband was saying there, that it wouldn't bring a penny off our bills, right? But we need to be green, have green energy to get rid of our reliance on fossil fuels. Yeah. Well, hold on, if we're reliant on fossil fuels, then of course it would bring money off our bills. It's so blindingly obvious, and even if it ends up being sold on the open market, we don't do it via it being nationalised, but we do it via it going through a private entity like BP. It's sold on the open market. Well, the money that we would make in the tax on it and everything else would bring down our bills, or might, heaven forbid, and anyone Labour might have a heart attack about this, so brace yourself, Barry, it might bring down our taxes.
Whoa!
Never.
That's radical, Christian.
Oh, no, it won't.
Do you want to know by how much? I don't know. Because the Office of Budget Responsibility calculated it, and that is, without the windfall tax, which is currently in place, the North Sea would be contributing 0.1 billion in tax by 2030-31. That's what the Office of Budget Responsibility has actually said. Now,
well, then we need to do more.
You were
we need
right.
More money.
Well, no, that's if you went ahead with that. The fossil fuel price shocks that we've already had, first of all because of Ukraine, and now because of this.
It was going up before Ukraine, Barry.
Sorry, the price shocks that we've had because of Ukraine and because of the Straits of Hormuz, Ukraine alone cost an extra 183 billion in energy costs to this country.
So you against?
So what we're actually finding is a problem for the cost of energy in this country is the dependence on the international markets of oil and gas. That's why we need to get off them as quickly as possible. Look, we've got wildfires sweeping across the continent. We've got our own wildfires here in Suffolk. It's the hottest, as you said, the hottest July on record, the hottest summer on record. Nobody is doubting that climate change is a real thing anymore. We all know that we have to get to a renewable future. The question is, how quickly do we get there to make sure that actually...
One second, I've got to push back on that, because these wildfires in this country and across Europe are arson. 96% of wildfire... Barry, this is a fact. 96% of wildfires are either arson or they're idiots setting fire to things. This is not climate change. At the end of the day, I remember when I was young, the fields were brown, the forests were crisp. If someone put a bit of petrol then, we would have had a wildfire. We need to stop this brainwashing of everyone to say that these wildfires and forest fires are climate change. No, it's arsonists. France has arrested nearly 200 people in the last 2 months. Italy, 30 or 40. It's 500 people have been arrested for arson across Europe. Let's stop these climate change and wildfire lies, because it's not.
Do you believe that climate change is happening and that is...
I'll tell you what I believe, Barry.
Well,
I believe believe if you look back at the graphs on the temperature of Earth, it goes up and down over millions of years. And I believe we're on a little upward thing. But nothing that we do is going to save... nonsense. Nothing we do is going to bring down temperatures in the next 50 or 100 years. So this net zero
it's going to stop rising further.
Who told you that? What scientist told you that, Barry? Who did he get his money off, Barry?
Shall I tell you? It's actually...
What organisation that's funded by billionaires told you that, Barry?
It's not. It's actually the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Of course.
And if you ask who they are, you'd have to say that all the top scientists, the top meteorologists in Russia, in China, in America, in Europe have all colluded. Somehow they've put aside all their political differences and they've all colluded.
They did during COVID.
In the fact that actually climate change is happening. But if you look at the science and if you understand the physics, it is clear that global warming is caused by human action.
Just to drag us back to this drilling in the North Sea business, it is a stark contrast to have Ed Miliband going from repeatedly saying that it will not lower our bills to what Andy Burnham is saying now and to what Andy Burnham is doing now. And it's convenient, isn't it, Jane, that Ed Miliband, if there is a vote on this, if there's a vote on expanding existing oil and gas licences or having new ones, Ed Miliband could very easily be abroad for those votes because he is now the Foreign Secretary.
I think they've made him Foreign Secretary, so he's abroad for a lot of the time. I mean, it was very tempting. But I think, Barry, I'm afraid what Christys said is absolutely right. All of those jobs in Aberdeen, and the Conservatives absolutely swept the ball. They got over 50% of the vote in the by-election because there are hundreds of well-paid jobs going in the North Sea. You tax the profits from that, and you could, support people's billing. But just
Jane,
to say, the new Secretary of State, Miata van Buller, she said we should be at net zero by 2030.
Lunatic.
So I am not confident that we are going to get a sort of softening of the Labour.
Jane, as you know, the North Sea Basin has been declining over a period of years. We've extracted 93% of all the potential extractable assets.
This is all about a transition. And I will also blame the Liberal Democrats in 2010 stop the Conservatives doing nuclear because it would take a decade.
What happened,
so the Lib Dems are also...
with the jobs in Aberdeen has been going on. You've been losing
many hundreds
100,000 jobs in Aberdeen, in the northeast of Scotland, over the past 15 years because it's a declining basin.
Right.
There is no more oil and gas there to drill for.
Okay. Nonsense. So I've got relatives who've just been told to move. But
technically,
anyway.
there
We've got to go.
but it can be costly.
We've got to go. I actually can't hear what's going on there, but anyway, there we are. Right. Okay. Yes. So up next, an Al Qaeda terrorist who plotted to bomb Blue Water shopping centre has gone before the parole board this week in a fresh bid for freedom. I'm going to tell you all about that case. That's next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. An extensive heatwave continues for much of Central Europe throughout this weekend. High pressure dominating. It's turning a little bit cooler for western areas of Spain, parts of Portugal, as well as western France. But as we head further east, the temperatures do climb across parts of Italy and towards the Mediterranean into the high 30s. You can see 40 degrees across parts of Greece. Wildfires here as well. But plenty of sunshine and hot weather to come into next week as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. There is a fresher feel to things as we go through this evening and overnight with a few showers across northern parts, but they are going to be easing this weekend. That's because we're going to be heavily influenced by high pressure, which is currently to the southwest of the UK. So still some showery bursts for a little while yet, mainly across parts of Scotland, but a few for Northern Ireland, northern and western parts of England and Wales, and a couple in East Anglia. Otherwise, overnight, a fair amount of dry weather, some clear skies. And it is going to be relatively warm, especially towards the south, but not as warm as recent nights. A fair few degrees fresher for most places. Some places around the Shetland Glens of Scotland could get into low single figures, perhaps. So temperatures tomorrow morning are not as high as they have been through some recent starts, but it is going to be largely sunny across the bulk of England and Wales. Just a few showers for some northern and western parts here. Mostly fine for Northern Ireland. Across Scotland, however, more showery rain to come. The showery rain here won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we've seen through today. And in fact, eastern parts will be starting the day largely dry. But those showery bursts will feed further eastwards through the morning and into the afternoon. They then start to clear away towards the east and northeast, so actually western areas where we've seen the heaviest, most frequent showers through recent days, well, there it will turn drier and sunnier by the middle of the afternoon, and a fair amount of sunshine for Northern Ireland, the bulk of England and Wales as well, with temperatures, well, similar to today, mid-20s in the south, high teens, low 20s further north. We start Sunday with a largely dry picture, a swathe of cloud across central areas, and most places stay dry through the bulk of the day, but across the Republic of Ireland there's likely to be some wetter weather making its way in. There's more changeable weather to come in the north in particular early next week, some heavy rain for parts of Scotland. Further south it stays drier and could turn warmer again.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. I would just like to say a very quick thank you to everyone who's made the journey here tonight. And we've got some people who've travelled far and wide. We've got people who come from Greater Manchester as well. We should get the results of the mayoral election soon. So a couple of people in from Australia as well, which is amazing. They've come just for this. No, they're not really. They're not really. Yeah, anyway, right, back on with much more serious matters. So it's a GB News exclusive for you. An Al-Qaeda terrorist who plotted to bomb Blue Water shopping centre is up for parole. He went before the parole board this week, a fresh bid for freedom for Salahuddin Amin. And he was part of a 5-strong Al-Qaeda terror cell, jailed for life in 2007. Not very lifey, is it, if he's up before a parole board, but planning a wave of UK bombings using chemical fertiliser devices. Amin was given a minimum of 17.5 years and was last refused parole in 2024, when the board ruled that he may still pose a danger to the public. He was also refused a transfer to an open prison at that time. He previously alleged that his confession to being a Taliban sympathiser was forced. 3 of his fellow conspirators have already been released, and one actually, remarkably, has been deported to Pakistan. So there you go. Doesn't happen very often, does it? We might as well celebrate it. So anyway, right, the fact that these people are up for parole, I mean, come on, Adam.
They should have the death penalty. That's again, if I was Prime Minister, I say it with everything. If you want to plan a terrorist atrocity or commit a terrorist atrocity in Britain, I think you should hang. If you want to touch kids and be a paedophile, I think you should hang. We have got a criminal justice system. How can this man be eligible to come out now? He's never going to change. I don't care what you say. Paedophiles can't be changed, and neither can terrorists. If you want to blow someone up, you're going to want to blow someone up in 20 years. I don't care what has gone in that journey. So, look, for me, we're too... we don't treat these harsh enough, and we have to have a real look at our sentencing in this country.
Yeah, I mean, we have had some shockers earlier on. I mean, earlier on in the week, we managed to force the government to go to the High Court over a case of a bloke who tried to drive drive a toy car full of explosives into an army barracks. So, Christo,
I agree with a lot of what you've just said there, which I don't know whether I should find worrying or reassuring, because you're absolutely right. I don't know why we don't. I wasn't in favour of the death penalty, but Axel Ridikapana really changed my view on that. I see no real reason why we need to keep someone like that alive. I see no real reason why, if you have been proven to be plotting to kill countless innocent people, then there is no reason for you to still be on this earth. And so how this person got 17 and a half years, but then what's interesting, as you said, he was refused parole in 2024 because he was still considered to be a risk. Well, what's changed in 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the parole board, I think, make what we would maybe regard as the common sense decision here, Jen.
Well, you'd hope so, but what the problem is, you can never test. You can't take the risk to go, maybe he's turned over a new leaf and he won't bomb everybody. Maybe he will. You can't take the risk of letting someone out of prison in case they might have reformed themselves, because it is highly unlikely.
What do you think, Barry? Do you think do you have absolute faith in our parole board?
Absolute faith, no. But I hope the parole board will make the right decision in this case and not grant it, because it seems to me that, as you say, what realistically, if this man was not fit to go to an open prison 2 years ago, then why would he now be fit to be released? It seems to me that if somebody is showing remorse, mending their ways, doing whatever you need to do to get brownie points in prison and doing the right things, and you genuinely feel that this person has turned round, it's a process. It doesn't just happen. And the idea that within 2 years you've gone from saying this man is still a material risk to the public, he is not eligible for an open prison, to, oh, well, we can just turn him back into the community. I don't think that's on at all.
You don't go from wanting to blow people into a million pieces to a nice guy in a few years.
Don't need to be a nice guy, you just need to not be able or willing to do it anymore.
But you can't
less bomby, just a little bit less bomby.
You can't test it. You can't.
And if he's been gardening with all the fertiliser as well, you'd still be saying, just keep him out of prison.
Didn't one of the Westminster Bridge lot just come out after rehabilitation? And
he was at a rehabilitation event, actually, and then he killed 2 of the people who'd been helping to rehabilitate.
Point proven.
But look, this is the point we've had. And the reason I wanted to highlight it was, like I said, earlier on in the week, we had that case where the parole board, despite the fact that the prison officers that saw this guy every single day and a psychiatrist said, do not, for the love of God, do not release this guy. They'd already released him. They then found that he had a secret phone and had been in contact with other jihadis, so they recalled him, and then they wanted to release him again. So I thought we'd highlight this because you never know what decision the parole board will come to.
There's no other channel, I don't care, no other media outlet that is trying to stop dangerous men, dangerous terrorists being released from prison. So again, I hope people that are watching this realise what GB News are doing here. They're trying to keep you safe, and I think they should be applauded for that.
Well, thank you very much. Well, there you go. Thank you. And I will give you your £10 no later. Right, now, so very shortly, I promise you, very shortly, we're going to go to Manchester for the result of the Greater Manchester mayoral election.
Labour took less time.
Now, what I'm going to do is, because I think we are literally going in a couple of minutes, I want to know what people think is going to happen here, because there is an argument to say that, people can like or dislike Andy Burnham as much as they like, but it's like in football, isn't it? If you win on penalties, you've still won at the end of the day, and it's 3 points or you win the cup. If you win 1-0, it's a scrappy, horrible game with 6 red cards, it's still a victory. And if Labour do win the Greater Manchester mayoral race, Andy Burnham would have won a by-election for Labour, left his role as Greater Manchester mayor, and Labour would have still kept hold of that, which I think Labour would class as a bit of a result, Barry, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously hope it happens. I was going to say, are we going to do
Greater Britain Union Jack Fest? We might do, but we're waiting for the results of the Greater Manchester mayoral election. So why have you nominated Andy Burnham as your Greatest Britain?
No.
Oh right.
No.
Well, I mean,
but I have. Well, I want to get the Union Jackass in.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? Can we
Why
just
don't we
do
do it
that
now?
then? I'm just going to do some live production on air here. Whilst we wait for the results of the Greater Manchester mayoral election, we've dropped the break, so I think we might just steam on with Greatest Britain Union Jackass, and we'll see. Yeah, being told we can do it. Well, Barry, you've forced it. You've forced it on home, mate. So go on. Do you want to start with Union Jackass? Is that right?
It's got to be Gianni Infantino. Come on.
Yes.
Oh, I see. The FIFA boss. Yeah. Go on. Why, Barry?
Because he's a dickhead.
Barry!
Barry said a naughty word on air.
That's it, isn't it? And that's how it ends. And that is how it ends. Adam's looking happy. He's off the hook for everything else he said.
Yeah.
No one
Barry,
remembers some of the things he said.
You need to start learning how to behave on this show. You've offended me there, Barry.
All right.
Wow.
Not as much as
We're just
Krista
going
would
to
like to
apologise.
offend
We're
you.
just going to apologise for any coarse
Don't bring me
language that
into
you might
this.
have said. Barry's made his views clear. It did seem like he might have been a popular view with the audience, though. Jane, who's your Union jackass?
Well, sorry, Barry, but it's one of your colleagues. It's Harriet Harman, who said that the next Labour leadership election, men should be banned from standing. And it is awful for equality. I don't want people to be a woman because they're being a woman. I want the best person for a job, doing the job. First female chancellor, don't care. I want a good chancellor.
Can she define what a man is?
She'll have to just choose a woman with a penis.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll solve the problem.
All right.
There we
well,
go.
thank you very much for not
but I
calling
didn't
her
swear,
a naughty
so
word. Exactly, yes, go on. Krista, who's your Union jackass of the week, then?
Balm Cake Burnham. I mean,
Yay!
style over substance, tax rises right, left and centre without an election. I'm sick of him already.
Yay!
Oh, there we go. Go on, Adam. Who's your Union jackass?
Mine is an honorary choice. It's Pedro Sanchez, Spain's Prime Minister.
Good one.
And that is because this foolish man gave 500,000 Africans and foreigners, is it citizenship of Spain, or allowed them to stay in Spain. He's basically showed the world that the West is a soft touch, and that is going to have consequences and ramifications for our country too.
Yeah.
All right. OK, well, let's take a vote on this, then. Gianni Infantino for Union jackass. Yeah, all right, OK, fair enough. Harriet Harman. Andy Burnham. Pedro Sanchez. There you go. Bad luck, Pedro. As if his day couldn't get any worse.
I won't be allowed in Mallorca now.
OK, finally, we can do this now. We are going to go live to the results of the Greater Manchester mayoral election.
I'm not bothered now.
26. This is the district final count totals and rejected ballot paper statement for the District of Manchester. I, Tom Stannard, returning officer appointed for the Manchester District at the Greater Manchester Combined Authority mayoral election held on the 30th of July 2026, hereby certify and declare that the total number of verified ballot papers was 92,408. The total number of first preference votes given for each candidate was as follows. Astley Cyan, Reform UK, 9,845. Coggins Geraldine, Green Party, 21,909. Craig Beverley, commonly known as Craig Bev, Labour and Cooperative Party, 49,326. Eckersley Philip, commonly known as Phil Eckersley, Conservative Party, 2,439. Farmer Marcus Jonathan, Independent, 436. Kilpatrick Richard, Liberal Democrats, 2,620. West Marlon Scott, Restore Britain, 4,811, making the total number of first preference votes 91,386. The number of ballots rejected at the first count was as follows. Want of official mark 3, voting for more than one candidate as to the first preference vote, 802. Writing or mark by which the voter could be identified, 5. Unmarked or void for uncertainty as to the first preference, 209, making the total rejected at the first count 1,019. We then move to the second count, and the total number of second preference votes for the candidates was as follows. Bev Craig, Labour and Cooperative, 16,784. Cyan Astley, Reform, 4,161. And votes for others eliminated after the count of the first preference votes, 8,871. The total number of second preference votes, 29,816. The number of ballot papers rejected at the second count was as follows: want of official mark 0, voting for more than one candidate as to the second preference 5, writing or mark by which the voter could be identified 0, unmarked or void for uncertainty as to the second preference vote 2,392, making the total number of rejected ballots 2,397. So the total number of first and second preference votes given for each of the two candidates remaining in the contest for Manchester was Bev Craig, Labour and Cooperative, 66,110, Cyan Astley, Reform UK, 14,006. And I can confirm that the Combined Authority Returning Officer will shortly be announcing the total Greater Manchester result. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Those are the results of the Greater Manchester mayoral election, and it is Bev Craig, Labour's Bev Craig, who has won, beating Reform UK's Sian Astley. We think we are going to hear the customary acceptance speech very, very shortly. Now, this obviously went to a second round, so it was not as initially as comfortable as Labour were hoping, because no candidate actually initially won more than 50% of the first choice votes. Oh, OK, hang on one second. Sorry, I'm just getting something on my ear. I'm just getting something in my ear here that we might have slightly jumped the gun there. My understanding is that some information that we had through here in our studio that they are fully expecting that that Bev Craig has actually won. But I wouldn't mind just revealing exactly that source was actually Barry Gardner. So I think that Barry might have had some information that has not necessarily been released just yet. So apologies about that. They're still waiting to announce 9 other boroughs. My apologies here. Everybody, I was told something in my ear that maybe I wasn't supposed to have, or not in my ear, it was by Barry Gardner, that maybe I wasn't supposed to have revealed, so sorry about that. But I think it's fair to say that we're relatively confident that Labour's Bev Craig might be on top at the moment. But anyway, there we go. But yeah, look, it has gone to that second vote. More than 2 million people were eligible to vote in the contest. However, the actual turnout, they believe, was one of the lowest that we've had for a Greater Manchester mayoral vote there. So look, we will have to watch this space. Apologies again if I let something slip there that I wasn't supposed to. But yes, it would be, hypothetically speaking, of course, if indeed Labour have won this, it would be a massive result for Andy Burnham, because, you know, it's not that long ago, is it? Not that long ago that Andy Burnham was still the mayor of Greater Manchester. They were talking about, oh, it's a big risk for him to run in Makerfield. It's a big risk if he leaves. And then what if Reform win in Makerfield, and what if Reform do win in Greater election as well? And it looks as though there is a very good chance that Labour obviously won in Makerfield, and Andy Burnham found his way into Downing Street, and Labour may well have won the Greater Manchester mayoral election. So we'll wait and see for absolute confirmation of those results. But look, like I said before, you know, a win is a win, and